Aussie Ape says Netanyahu getting heat for Genghis Khan comments. Here's the part where he talks about this. We're building them
in lethality. It's directed, it's targeted lethality. It's going against the killers and as much as possible to avoid civilian casualties. We have those capacities. We're building them for the future. That is what safeguards the future. You know, if people want to be naive, that they don't see the kind of world we're living in. In this world, it's not enough to be moral. It's not enough to be just. It's not enough to be right. You know, one of the greatest writers of the 20th century, someone that I admire a lot, was the historian Will Durant. Now, he wrote many volumes. I read most of them. He also wrote The Lessons of History, very brief, 100-page book, in which he said, well, history proves that, unfortunately and unhappily, Jesus Christ has no advantage over Genghis Khan. Because if you are strong enough, ruthless enough, powerful enough, evil will overcome good. Aggression will overcome moderation. So you have no choice. If you look at the world as it is today, you have to be blind not to see that the democracies led by the United States have to reassert their will to defend themselves and to oppose their enemies in time while there's still time, before the jarring gong of danger wakes them up and wakes them up too late. This is where we are now.
There's so much to break down here.
Yep.
And rhetorically, I'm completely or almost or very much in agreement with him, because it's being used in a rhetorical sense. Is he literally saying Jesus Christ has no advantage over Genghis Khan?
Nope.
No, he's not.
Nope.
Thank you, David.
Pretty bad.
And it's actually very easy to understand that if you just familiarize yourself a little bit with rhetoric and with literature.
Yeah, and you listen to what he's actually saying. Who's not going to agree with him? Saying you could be the most moral and the best and nicer and have better character and be way more virtuous than your enemy. If you don't stand up to him and you just let him do what he wants, all the facts about you being better don't add up to anything, because they're going to come and slaughter you.
So what he is doing here, he's quoting Will Durant, and he's actually using Jesus as extremely good and extremely moral, right? And using Genghis Khan as extremely bad and barbaric, but strong. First, think about that. This is the comparison that he's making here. This is the comparison that he's making. He's using Jesus as absolutely good and Genghis Khan as evil and savagely barbaric. And then he says it is, of course, he refers to good as good, but says also, unfortunately, in the world, it's not enough to just be good, because you have to prepare yourself for the barbarians. And it's not even himself who's saying this. He's just using the words of a writer who says this
to make a point.
He's not literally saying that Jesus has no power or advantage over Genghis Khan. Anybody who actually comes to that conclusion, I'm sorry, you're dumb.
You're stupid, and if you do so deliberately, you're evil, right? Because that's what someone's obviously doing, right?
Yeah.
Chopping it up, and everyone, you see, he's saying Genghis Khan is better than Jesus. Oh my goodness, how can Christians support this? I looked up the passage.
Well, how does it go?
It's actually a little different here. Let me go and read the paragraph. Does history, so this is a history book, Lessons of History. He says, does history support a belief in God? If by God we mean not the creative vitality of nature, but a supreme being, intelligent and benevolent. So Netanyahu is using the point to basically mean, hey, if you don't stand up to evil people, then all your character and morality don't win, right?
Yeah.
Will Durant is talking about does what we look and see in history, does that support God? But watch, like other departments of biology, history remains at bottom a natural selection of the fittest individuals and groups in a struggle wherein goodness receives no favors, misfortunes abound, and the final test is the ability to survive. Add to the crimes, wars, and cruelties of man the earthquakes, storms, tornadoes, pestilences, tidal waves, and other acts of God that periodically desolate human and animal life, and the total evidence suggests either a blind or an impartial fatality with incidental and apparent haphazard scenes to which we subjectively ascribe order, splendor, beauty, or sublimity. If history supports any theology, this would be a dualism like the Zoroastrian or Manichaean, a good spirit and an evil spirit battling for control of the universe and men's souls. These faiths and Christianity, which is essentially Manichaean, assured their followers that the good spirit would win in the end. But of this consummation, history offers no guarantee. History doesn't tell you that good is going to win. Nature and history do not agree with our conceptions of good and bad. They define good as that which survives and bad as that which goes under. And the universe has no prejudice in favor of Christ as against Genghis Khan.
Dude, when you read the actual thing, it is even better than whatever Netanyahu said. This is the funny thing with quoting something, right? You can quote something or paraphrase something in a very basic or simple or poor way. If somebody knows the actual reference or goes and looks it up, they understand what you mean, and it's actually very, pretty good.
Sounds like good video, right? Bunch of quotes from people posting on X, and oh my goodness, I can't believe what he's saying. And well, here's the original clip that they shared. Here's them reacting. Here's what he actually said. Here's the quotation. So here's what it means in context. And you guys are I can't even say too stupid to understand. They don't want to understand. They want to misunderstand anything anyone says at this point.
If you feel very jumpy about this and think, no, he insulted Jesus. No, he didn't. I could say the very same thing and I wouldn't be insulting Jesus. Or maybe I wouldn't say it that way because of my sensitivities, I would choose my words carefully. So I would probably not use the words an advantage, or Jesus doesn't have an advantage over Genghis Khan. But you could word it differently if you have personal sensitivities about what words you do and do not want to use when speaking about Jesus. That said, he doesn't necessarily have those sensitivities, and it's also not the point that he's making at all. You have to get the point that he's making. And the point is a very good one, a very solid one. And in fact, if you listen to the words, he's praising Jesus.
He picked an example of someone who's really, really, really good. Yeah. And then he picked an example of someone who's really, really, really bad. And pointing out the good guy doesn't win just because he's good.
Yeah.
And you could say, well, in a way, the Romans crucified Jesus and so on. So in a way you do, they're talking about politics and history and so on. And what actually tends towards survival of your group.
He's using Jesus as synonymous with good here, and using Genghis Khan as synonymous with evil. This is what he's doing here. Instead of saying good and evil, he's saying Jesus and Genghis Khan. I appreciate this.
Oh my goodness! Benjamin Netanyahu used Jesus as the example of someone who's supremely good! Christians, how can you tolerate this?